Excel Tips. My name is Neale Blackwood, and in this video we're going to look at how you can use Microsoft Forms to create forms that you can share with employees, customers, or you can use for follow-ups for training. Lots of uses for forms in business, and Microsoft Forms is part of the Microsoft 365 subscription. So if you have the subscription version of Excel, you also have access to Microsoft Forms. Now, things change fairly quickly these days with Microsoft, and one of the things that have changed recently is that the Forms option will soon be available in the desktop version of Excel. I wrote this article in late November 2024, and in December there was an announcement, if we have a look, that Forms will soon be a part of the desktop version of Excel. Now, I don't have it yet, so I can't show you what it'll look like. I think it does take you out to the web where you actually fill in and create your forms. Check your Insert tab in Excel. You might have that Forms icon, so you can access the forms direct from your desktop. So let's see how we do it via the web within the Office or Microsoft 365. Something else that's changed is that the subscription version used to be called Microsoft 365. As you can see now, they've put Copilot on the end. So Copilot is Microsoft's AI interface. It works throughout the Office suite, so PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook, all of those apps can use Copilot. We're not going to be looking at that today. We're just going to look at forms, and what I want to click on is this little icon in the top left. When we click there, we can see we can access forms. So we can click on that and we can choose different types of forms. So there's a number of templates that you can access. So employee satisfaction, feedback, registration, quizzes. Quizzes are a little bit different because you can actually provide the answer to the questions. I won't be looking at that. We're going to be looking at more like feedback. This is the one that I created for the article. And so this is the finished product, if you like. So we'll go through and create some of these, but I'll just show you the finished product. So this is the CPA examples. And these are the questions that are in the article, so you can check those out. So we have a individual item, so you can only pick one of these. The second question, you can pick any of these, and then you can have a free-form text. This one is a ratings one. This one is a date selection. This one here is for ranking, and again, we'll see how we build all of these as we go through. This one has a different name. It's called a Likert. I didn't know what this was called, so it's something that I've learnt. You've probably filled these in, and so you can build these up as well. And then you've also got another type of rating system here where you can choose sort of on a scale between some descriptions that you can put in where something falls. So these are the 8 different types of questions that you can build, and we'll go through and we'll build these from scratch. I will edit the video a bit. You don't need to see me type. I'm not a very good typist, so we'll save some time and I'll just take you through the main parts of this. You can preview it. So this is what it looks like when the person fills it in. There is an option to make questions required, so you'll see that as we go through, and so there's a little option pops up underneath. So this one isn't required, whereas I think I turned all that on for all the other ones that I did. And so this is what it looks like in the wild. So what how the person will see it to fill it in. Okay, let's go back and let's go and create a new form. So I'm going to use sort of a feedback type one. You can put all different types over here. So I'm just going to start with, I'll close that down and just give it a name. Okay. So when you click here, you get, these are the 9 options. I mentioned there was 8 different types. The 9th one here is a section, so you can set up different sections within your form. I'll explain why you might do that when we get to the questions that it might apply to. So let's go for a choice, and you can type your question in. Then you can enter the options. VisiCalc was one of the first spreadsheets. Okay, so they have 2 there. You can add another option. There is also the add other option, which we'll do at the end. In terms of changing this, so this one, obviously you can only have one first, so you'll choose a single one here. The next question is going to be, which spreadsheets have you used? So that could be more than one. If you push this across, you allow for multiple answers, but in this case I don't want to use that, and this is the option for required, so you can make it required or turn it off and make it optional. Okay, I'll type in the other options. Okay, I've entered those other options, and then I can click this one, which then just adds other, so someone else might have another spreadsheet that they started with. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You've just got to decide whether you want it required or not. You can copy them, so I could copy this, and so now I can change this to, what spreadsheets have you used? And it's pretty much ready to go. The only change is I will change that to multiple. You can also determine a limit. Let's say you want to say what 2 spreadsheets have you used the most, which is a slightly different question. Then you can set an option for 2, for example. You can use these arrows on the side here to change the sequence of the questions. You can also use these icons here to drag in an image. So maybe if you're doing a quiz, you could maybe show a picture and then ask a question about the picture, but you can add media into the questions as well. Okay, let's create a new question. So we've done the choice. Let's have a look at the text. Pretty straightforward. You can just write a question and you can decide whether you want a long answer, and so it just gives you like a bigger box to enter your response in. So I'll enter my question in. Okay, so that's there. We can make it required. Add a new question. Let's have a look at the rating. So let's put a question in. Okay, so you can determine a level. So you can go right up to 10. 5's pretty common. And then you can have different symbols that you might want to use. I'll just leave it at the stars. When you have this little, I think they're called ellipses, you can click on these little 3 dots and you can add some subtitles, labels. Now branching, I'm not going to go into branching, but you can set up a form so that when you answer one question one way, it will take you into a different branch. So I'm not going to cover that now because that is a little bit more complex, but that is also possible. So you can add a subtitle and a label there. So that's what the 3 dots. Let's have a look at these ones. If I go back here, this one here allows you to shuffle the options so that possibly you get a little bit of randomization in the listing there that you might want. That also has the branching and subtitle. Let's have a look at this one. This one allows you, because it's a single option, you could convert this into a drop down. So you could have a drop down list here. Because you're only selecting one, then a drop down option is possible. Whereas the second one here, you could select multiple. So a drop down doesn't really allow you to do that. I'll just get rid of that one and put that back to no limit. Okay, so there is the rating. Let's have a look at the next one, which is a date. So this one here allows you to select a date using a date picker, which is something that is missing in Excel. Excel allows you to enter dates as text, but you don't have a typical date picker that most systems actually have access to. Let's put the question in. For dates, you can just add a subtitle for that one. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So we have a ranking. So the ranking one allows you to put entries in, and then the idea of the ranking is that you physically move them around so that the user, whoever is entering it, can drag the options into a specific order that they are responding to the question. I'll just fill this in. So I've entered the first 3 in, and I can just keep adding extra options after that. Again, this one here allows you to move them up and down, so you can have some sort of sequence. Maybe the sequence you're putting them in is how you rank them, so that the person doesn't need to move them much. The other option is to randomize them. So if we again, we could shuffle them, so that way it is more, you aren't putting your ideas onto the person who's entering it. If you shuffle them, then you are getting a more randomized list. I'll just finish the list. Okay, so there's my list. So XLOOKUP, when I was reading my list, I can move it up a little bit. These are all very useful functions to learn. If you don't know any of these, then I highly recommend that you investigate them. So there we go. So that allows the user to drag these around to rank them in terms, in this case, in order of usefulness. Okay, let's have a look at the next type, which, as I mentioned, I didn't know what this was called. It's called a Likert. And so you have 5 options, which you can add options to. 5 is fairly common because you sort of have the mid and then 2 options on either side, but you can add extra options horizontally as well as the statement. So the idea is that you write a statement and then the user then responds typically in terms of whether they agree with it or disagree with it, but you can use other terminology as well. Again, you can have as many of these statements as you like. I'll fill this in and then we can have a look at it. Okay, so this is some of the AI that's involved with it. So I type my question in. I type the left response is strongly disagree. And so once I hit enter on that, it's picked up these ones here. So I'm just going to try add all and see what it does. So this appeared to basically assist me. And so there you can see it's put them in the wrong spot. It's got agree, strongly agree. So it might have been a little bit helpful. So I don't know if I have an undo. That's something that, okay, so let's go here and delete it. Oh, okay, so I need to add that back in. So this one actually needs to be disagree. I could probably have moved those options around, I think. So this one, here we go. So that's disagree. This one should be neutral. This one should be agree. No, that one should be strongly agree. No, I'm not doing this that well. Apologies for that. This one is strongly agree. There we go. So I've got one to work. What have I got now? I've got a couple of agrees, so we get rid of that. There we go. It does try and assist. I think I could have moved those responses around before I accepted them, but it does have some AI that's sort of working in the background, trying to assist you. With these, so I've got my statements here, and then that is the responses that they can use. So this is a Likert. This is the one that you may need to use the sections for. Typically when you create these, you'll create a few of them and you'll have these particular responses on all of the different questions that you ask. Now you can use the sections to then split them up. So you might have a different set of responses that you want to do, and so typically you would have a different section for that, and you might have different responses for these ones, or you might have 6 or something like that. But you can use the sections, that was that 9th option, to actually split up these different types of Likert questions, because as I mentioned, they typically have the same responses so that you can fill them in fairly quickly because you're sort of familiar with them. But having the sections allows you to explain that you are changing these responses for whatever reason. That's the Likert. You can set a upload file, so you can maybe ask them to upload, for example, an expense reimbursement. So you might have upload files, so they might take photos of their receipts, things like that. Now the Net Promoter Score, let's have a look at that one. It's put this in, so this is the question that it's automatically puts in. You can change the text on either end. How likely to recommend Excel to a friend or colleague. You can change these to whatever text you like. They are editable. But this one sort of gives you, it's similar to the rating, but it's on a scale, you know, from 0. It's got a 0 as well. So you've got really 11 responses there from 0 through to 10. That one has the subtitle. I didn't check on this one what the options were. That was the one with shuffle, that's right. So that is how you create the form. This is the same one that I created for the article. Again, we can use that preview. The owner's going to see your name and email address. You can change that. So in settings, so in this one, you can change the settings so that anyone can respond, or you can limit it to your people within your organization. So that is how you can set it up. So when you say anyone, it's basically an anonymous response, so it doesn't require a sign-in. Then we have a few other things that you can select, like you can capture the start date, the end date. You can set time for duration, so maybe for a quiz. You could shuffle the questions if you wanted to. That isn't always going to be a good idea, especially if you're using sections. You can do a save, you can do edits. So a few other options that are there. If we say collect responses, this is how you can send it to people. So again, you've got those options. You can change these options on who can receive it. You can copy the link here, and that will allow you to share the link. You can use Teams, so you can add it to Teams. This one is a QR. And then you can also embed it into a web page. So this uses the iframe, and so you can copy all that. If you've got a web page, you can insert that HTML into the place you need to get it to work. So they're the sort of 3 options. So you can also create a shortened URL. This one here has entered the text, so it's obviously estimated that it's only going to take a couple of minutes to fill it in. So I didn't do that, so it's figured that out. And so you can type people's emails in here, and you can send it from here as well. Oh, I haven't shown you what it looks like collected. So I won't go through and fill a number in. I've already done that for the first example that I did for the article. So let's go have a look at what that looks like. So I can go back to Excel for this. So I need to go and open, and I'm going to go browse, and it's under here and CPA examples. So that's the name of the file. Note the file is saved on OneDrive, so you need to open it from the OneDrive location. So if I open that up, these are the responses to the various entries. So I did capture the start time, the completion time. These were all anonymous, so I didn't get a name. And then these are the questions. So what was the first spreadsheet you used? Which spreadsheets have you used? So this one has multiple responses. So they are separated with the semicolon there. Favorite features, that's the ratings. When did you last have a holiday? And again, this is the sequence that they've moved them around. So let's go have a look at that, because that one there is a little bit different. So let's go and check that out. So if we go down to here, and let's go have a preview. So this is that ranking one. So you can actually grab it and move these around. You can also use the arrows, so you can sort of move it up and down using arrows as well. So that's the one that's a little bit different, because you're actually physically moving things around to respond to the rank. These ones here are all fairly straightforward. Everyone's probably filled these in. They're all fairly standard. Oh, so there's the date. So there's the date picker. It would be really good if Excel had one of these, but it doesn't. And so you can see when I'm recording this in late January 25. So you can change the dates here. There we go. So that's the date picker. And that's the single. This one is, as we can see, the multi. That's just free-form text that you can type. And then it's very easy, I said, to enter these. It does capture it in American, unfortunately. But I think when it displays it, let's go have a look at what I did here. When it displays it in the spreadsheet, it is converted to the Australian version of it. There is a built-in reporting mechanism for the form, so you can see charts and other visualizations for the responses that you receive. I'll just go and get the form that I had created previously, which I have filled in a few responses for. So we can click on View Responses, and that brings up some visualizations of the 6 forms that I've completed. So each type of question has its own unique type of visualization, obviously depending on the question. So you can see some examples here. This is showing that the XLOOKUP was the most popular and the sort was the least popular in the rankings. Obviously dates are a little bit limited in how you can display those, so it's just listed them. I gave myself lots of 5 stars there for the tips. We had the text entries, so you can see it's just listed those text entries. And then we can see the responses to those, the individual question, which was the first, and then the question that allowed you to select multiple items was the second one. It's 59 days ago, so I wrote the article a couple of months ago, so you can see it's been live for that long and taken 1 minute and 19 seconds on average for me to fill it in, and there were 6 entries there. Microsoft Forms allow you to create professional looking forms. They look pretty good. As you can see, they've got a lot of different types of questions to select from. Very easy to edit it. It automatically saves it, so you don't really need to save it. It's there, and again, there's lots of templates that are already there, so feel free to look through those templates as well. They might give you some ideas on how you want to display it. As I mentioned, keep an eye out on the Insert tab in Excel, and you might find you have access to the forms. By the time this video goes out, you might have a forms option here under Insert. Thanks for watching. Hope you found the video useful.